I want you to do something with me for a moment. I want you to imagine you're holding a physical peso in your hand. Think about how many hands it's been passed through before it got to you. Hundreds, maybe thousands. You don't know who's touched it. You don't know where it's been. When you deposit this peso in the bank, the ownership is now in someone else's hands, and you are given permissioned access to your own money. When transferring this peso digitally, there are even more third parties unknown to you, handling and processing this money. And yet, despite all of this, you trust the peso. You use it without a second thought. Now imagine you're holding your phone, looking at a crypto wallet app. If I ask you to trust the money or cryptocurrency in there, what comes to mind? For many people, the same trust in the peso is not given to that cryptocurrency, and many associate it with the unknown and dark side of the internet. I know this because back in 2013, when Bitcoin was still an underground experiment, I was there. By day, I worked on Wall Street, and by night, I was an active participant in a wild frontier of these anonymous markets. And yes, back then, anonymity was a feature. Nobody knew who you were on the other side of the transactions. That was one of the major benefits. But today, decentralized finance, better known as DeFi, has evolved rapidly since the early ages of this technology. After over a decade of building and deploying DeFi infrastructure with major institutions, central banks, exchanges, and today with my own company, Solstice Labs, a company that designs this type of global DeFi infrastructure, we as an industry have come to a striking realization. The future of crypto is not more anonymity. It's the end of it. Today, DeFi is no longer a niche experiment. It is a $4 trillion market, making up nearly 2% of all global wealth. Governments, sovereign wealth funds, the largest asset managers in the world are all building on blockchain. It is estimated that approximately 15% of the world's population now owns cryptocurrency, representing over 1.2 billion people. But there is still one missing ingredient to tip the adoption scales, and that's public trust. Ask the average citizen of most countries around the world what they think of crypto. And the phrase I often hear is, I just don't quite trust it yet. Public trust has not caught up to the coming scale of DeFi's adoption. And here's the irony. The very thing people tend to fear most in DeFi, anonymity, is disappearing. And that is not the death of crypto. It is the rebirth. There is a reason why over 90% of governments are now exploring blockchain-based money. This is because the end of financial anonymity is what will make DeFi the most transparent and trustworthy financial system in history. The headlines of tomorrow in DeFi are no longer eye-catching price movements, but figures of global adoption. The idea that I'm here to talk to you about today is simple. The death of financial anonymity will create the most capital-efficient and trusted markets humanity has ever seen. And it will happen because of DeFi and not in spite of it. There's a lingering myth about DeFi as well to address, and that is it is a lawless playground where no one knows who they're transacting with on the other side. And the truth is the opposite. Right now, technologies like zero-knowledge proofs, biometric authentication, and verifiable on-chain reputation have emerged that allow you to prove exactly who you are without giving away every detail of your identity to third parties. Put simply, financial transactions in DeFi cannot even occur unless the user agrees on the exact location of the money, the exact pathway the funds are getting transferred to, and the additional terms required by that user, all set in stone by secure digital logic. In DeFi, we call this fully deterministic transaction execution. It is estimated today that 30% of global enterprises are already adopting concepts like such as zero-knowledge proofs for authentication. This is jumping up from just under 5% in 2023. This is where DeFi is heading. A world where every participant has a common trust layer, instantly verifiable, mathematically secured. And here is the economic reality. Anonymity won't just be rare, it will be expensive. If you cannot prove who you are, you'll pay higher collateral for credit transactions, receive worse borrowing rates, and be locked out of key opportunities. In other words, the DeFi market rewards transparency. This is the great inversion. 10 years ago, anonymity was the edge, and 10 years from now, transparency will be the edge. So what does this shift unlock? Let me give you 3 lenses to think about trust in DeFi with. Number 1 is fraud prevention. Despite mainstream narratives, the cause of almost every major crypto scandal you have ever heard of has happened off-chain, not on the blockchain. For example, FTX's off-chain accounting and hidden books were why one of the biggest crypto firms in history was able to hide a $10 billion loss. On-chain, every transaction is fully deterministic and auditable. If trust is visible, fraud becomes much harder to hide. Number 2 is counterparty trust. In today's system, cross-border deals require layers of intermediaries just to make sure everyone is legitimate. In DeFi, verifiable identity means you can transact directly with someone across the globe instantly, securely, and with no middleman extracting fees. And number 3 is equal access. Whether if you have $5 or 50 million, the same transparent rules apply. Verified identity levels the playing field so individuals, institutions, and even governments can access the same financial strategies with ease. All aspects of the financial industry are now enabled with DeFi's principles of fully democratized access. None of these points today are theory. 134 central banks covering 98% of global GDP are now researching or piloting blockchain. Sovereign funds managing over 11 trillion are exploring tokenized assets. And cross-border stablecoin payments already are topping multi-billion-dollar transaction volumes. This is all happening right now. Let's think about this bigger. This is not about DeFi destroying the banks, despite a narrative you may have heard. It is simply about building a financial system that earns your trust as a client first. Traditional finance runs on reputation and, frankly, bailouts. In DeFi, trust comes from transparency, a public ledger that shows exactly where your money is in real time, ruled by digital logic. You won't have to hope your money is safe. You will know it is as a fact. And let me zoom out a minute to figure out why this matters on a societal scale. For decades, the global financial system has operated like a black box. If you're wealthy or you're an insider, you get visibility. But if you're not, you're asked to trust blindly. That creates inequality. It creates suspicion. It creates fragility. DeFi is enabling a future of democratized capital markets. A great example of this, of what this new level of trust enables, is the recent announcement on Solana, a leading core layer 1 blockchain, enabling anyone around the world to buy American stocks on chain with access to 24/7 markets and fractionalized shares in a fully permissionless manner. That is what the end of financial anonymity unlocks, not surveillance, but symmetry. Everyone sees the same truth at the same time, with real-time control over your personal data and your money. And here's the kicker. Transparency is not just a moral good. DeFi is an efficiency revolution. When counterparties don't need to price in uncertainty, capital costs fall. Markets settle faster, liquidity deepens. Transparency compounds trust, and trust compounds capital. The world's trust in DeFi begins with first challenging the trust that you place in the financial systems of today. Do you know how your money is being moved? Do you know where your money is? And ultimately, do you have true ownerships over your money and your assets? This is why the real question our industry is answering is not, should crypto be anonymous? That's already in the past. The real question is, how do we design a system so any user's trust is built in from the start? The world is moving to a new system of true internet capital markets. DeFi goes beyond changing how money moves in this new market. It is changing how trust moves. 10 years ago, I stood inside the anonymous frontier, and 10 years from now, I believe we will look back and realize ending anonymity wasn't crypto's death, it was the rebirth of trust and money itself. With DeFi ending financial anonymity, it is the beginning of an age where the financial system earns the trust of everyone, from the kid in Manila with a smartphone to the CEO of the world's largest bank. That future is not years away. It is happening right before our eyes, and all you need to do to begin your journey is have a smartphone. The future of finance is now in your hands. Begin taking control of it today. Thank you.